Hey folks, welcome again to After Wine School. I'm Keith Wallace, and with me today, as always, Alana Zerby, fantastic. And today, just want to address this thing that we all have a problems with, and we're gonna complain about this for the next, who knows, half an hour or so. But it's wine labels. Wine labels are such a POA. They're you need a decoder ring to understand them. Even when you know wine, when you're actually in the trade, they keep changing and
Wait,
changing.
Keith, you said POA. Do you mean piece of ass?
Oh no, sorry. Pain in the ass. I said that wrong. That, that's awesome.
It
That's awesome.
stays.
It
It
does.
stays.
We can't edit that out. Oh my
Labels,
god.
labels, such a POA.
Oh my god. I know, just check out that thick label. Oh my god. Oh well.
We're
Yeah.
here. We're here to provide some great, useful information, hopefully that's easy to understand. And after listening to this podcast, you'll feel well equipped to purchase your next wine bottle. Keith, would you mind breaking down for people sort of what the French began and what the rest of the world does?
Oh, you mean like you're thinking about like old world, new world kind of
Yes,
thing? Yeah.
yes.
The old world has always been about place. Like this town grew this grape. And so they just started calling things by as shorthand so that when you say Pauillac, you know what it means. They grow Cabernet, Sauvignon, and a little bit of Merlot, and a little bit of Cab Franc, and they blend it all together in their wine. Right, you know that. And that has been consistent. That's almost the old world. So that's Europe, most of Europe, not really Germany, but Europe. And it used to also include the Middle East and North Africa, even though it really doesn't anymore. Whereas the New World, which is everywhere else, everywhere you see vineyards growing, whether it's Australia, New Zealand, South America, or California, America. Yeah, the New World we tend to name on the label, big words, grape, and then place, right? So that you have an idea of what's there. Like it's Cabernet from Napa, it's Chardonnay from Willamette Valley. So like you have a general idea. That's the big difference.
Yeah, and the American convention for labeling wine, it really was about catering to the consumer. It
Oh
was
yeah,
making it easy for the consumer. It was also because American producers in the 40s and 50s were misappropriating French wine names like Chablis
just a
for
little.
really bad wine, and the
Yeah.
French said, please stop. So it was a journalist actually who came up with the idea of putting just the grape name on the label.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's
genius
fascinating.
marketing.
It is. It's also like differentiating in the marketplace, but also like Chablis or Chablis,
Hmm.
in a box wine. But also like there are producers making California champagne.
Champagne, right. So
Yeah,
they got grandfathered
guard
in.
in. Yeah. Hey, if you ever want to get sued and sued rapidly, just name one of your wines champagne because the
Hmm.
Champagne Council are litigious. Oh my.
All right, so let's decode a French wine label. So I'm going to give you an example of a
Okay.
French wine, and I
Yeah.
want you to break it down for me, what exactly that means. So let's just pretend in my little hands here, I have
Oh,
a Chateau Leoville Barton,
yes.
Pauillac AOP, Grand Cru Classé.
All right. Okay. This is great. But I'm going to actually, before I even attempt this, I do want to point out that, these laws and these rules, they're also a bit of gatekeeping here. I want people to know and understand because it's easy. Once you figure these things out, it can be okay. So, first of all, chateau. Okay, that sounds fancy. In Bordeaux, that's the place. That's actually the estate. In Burgundy, it's called a domain. But it doesn't have to be. You're picturing in your head like this big, beautiful castle. It can be a shack, right? It's a building. It's actually the place where it's being made. There has to be that building, that winemaking facility. And then Leoville Barton, that's the name of the producer.
Hmm.
And that's it. And notice that it's Barton, it's Barton. Like, notice that that's an Irish name because they were Irish. So just FYI, not fancy. These were not fancy people in the beginning. Now they're fancy. But then you have Pauillac. It's just a town. Like, you can drive there. They have terrible sandwiches. Like, not a good cafe in the entire town. Great vineyards, fantastic. Now, that term Grand Cru Classé,
Hmm.
okay, now that's a tricky one
Yeah.
because We could spend hours talking about the difference between Grand Cru and Premier Cru in other places, in other parts of France. We could talk about that for a long time. It's super confusing. Here, what it means is it's a part of a classification system called the 1855 classification. It was only for the Haut-Médoc, this small little region of Bordeaux, and a little bit down below it, but mostly for that. And it just says these are the wines that were the best of the best back in 1855. And we really haven't changed it that much since, but
Yeah.
it's all right. It's good enough classification for us. Let's leave it.
All right.
That's it.
Great.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned earlier this region is one that often has Cabernet Sauvignon dominant blends, a
Oh,
little bit
yes.
of Merlot and Cabernet Franc. How do you know that, Keith? You've memorized it.
Yes, exactly. But here's the problem with memorization is that things change.
Mhm.
Like over the years, especially, we're dealing with a warming climate in Bordeaux. So on the left bank in this area of Haut-Médoc, yeah, they're introducing more Merlot into the blends, more Cabernet Franc, and then other places are bringing in more Cabernet.
So in
Yeah.
today's universe, this is why we don't use textbooks anymore.
Yes.
We always refer to information online because it's always changing.
Oh, exactly. So when the National Wine School was building out and we were talking about, like, should we have
Mhm.
textbooks? And I was adamant, we do not have textbooks. We cannot. Things change so fast that by the time we print it, it's going to be out of date. And this
Mhm.
happens with all wine books.
It does.
Even the great ones, the
Yeah.
ones that I
Yeah.
love, like
Yeah.
there's going to be parts that are out of date by the time they are on the shelves. So that's why all of our material, I mean, I have watched you like going line by line, like editing, especially like with the L2 and the L3 small A programs, like you are, because things change all the time. We have to be able to do that. And it's important to understand like the difference of old world and new world, understand what things mean so that you can go research up-to-date information, just so
Yes.
you know, like, oh, what is it now?
Get that baseline and
Yeah.
then you can, yeah.
I have so much given up on being able to standardize those and teaching people because they are coming up with so many things. Just my old haunt of Chianti. Like everything has changed so much in Chianti, especially Chianti Classico, that I constantly have to look back up.
Oh,
And
interesting.
like when you think you know something completely because you made wine there, then you turn around, you're like, oh, wait a minute. They changed the laws again. So yeah, no, it can be very frustrating, and it's even frustrating for people like us.
So, lest we focus all our ire just
Yes.
on Europe, there's plenty to say about
Yeah.
US wine law. And so, we've put together a little compilation of buzzwords, label terms that are very commonly used in the US and what they mean. And I'm going to kick us off with this one, the word reserve. So, reserve pops up on labels. What does that mean? We know what the producer wants the consumer to think it means,
Oh.
which is that this is somehow a superior bottling. When in fact, unless you are in one state in this entire country, reserve has no meaning whatsoever. So in Washington state, they have changed their laws so that reserve does mean higher quality. It has to be an objective measure that better grapes have gone into that specific bottling. This is a way to gain consumer confidence, to market themselves as an alternative to California. But by and large, 95% of the time you see reserve on a wine label, it means absolutely nothing.
Oh, yeah. So when I was pitching this, I was like, hey, let's talk about reserve.
Mhm.
You were like, well, we have to do a carve out for Washington State. And I was like, oh, that's right. They changed that
Yeah.
law. No, I'm glad they did. And I wish everyone would, but we do things, state by state. The hard bit of this is that where Europe can be a little too tightly wound, we're too loosey-goosey. That term reserve, for instance, for a winery client of mine, we did a winemaker's reserve. Doesn't that sound fancy? I've done it twice, actually. I've pulled this trick twice. I did a winemaker's reserve. I did a vintner's reserve for two different clients. I went to that draw twice, and they were both their lower tier wine.
Really?
Yeah, there was their lowest tier red wine.
Oh.
Yeah, at the time it was like the price point was $8. No, that's a long time ago, so that'd be like 12, 14 now.
Okay.
I mean, it was a good wine. It was very much their cheapest wine.
That's interesting. All right,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have one for me.
Yeah. Oh, old vines. And this is a term, I don't like it because it has no meaning whatsoever. Those vines, they're saying, okay, old vines are better. Yes. What do they mean by that? There's no legal definition. Is it 20 years? Is it 50? Is it 100? No idea. I don't like that term.
Now, have you realistically ever seen a producer, if their vines were 20 years old, use that? Well, actually, you
I
have.
have, I
Oh, you
have.
have.
So here's what happened. I had a client who actually, they're fantastic people, and they had Zinfandel, right? This is in Sonoma County, and yeah, they had 100-year-old vines, and half of the wine that went into these bottles was these old vines. So they put old vine, and it became a stable part of their portfolio. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was their biggest selling Zinfandel was this
Mm-hmm.
old vine Zin. But the problem was that they were diseased and they were old and they were starting to die out. So
Mm-hmm.
they started losing these grapes. So
Mm-hmm.
then it was a quarter of the wine was old vine in the bottle. But they kept the label because that's their best selling thing, and they couldn't remove. They tried to source from other places. They couldn't. They did a little bit, but those contracts sometimes were good, sometimes not good. Sometimes the grapes were great, sometimes they weren't. So they really struggled, but they kept it. So by the time I stopped working with them, it was 0% old vine by the time. So it's,
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
that's really hard to hear because I like giving my students something to
yeah.
hang their hat on, a label term that you can, all things being equal, you're trying to decide between two wines. Which one do you go for? It says old vines. Typically, the idea is that it's going to have better fruit, more complex fruit, and
Yes.
it should be around 50 years old or more, especially Zinfandel, which can grow for quite a long time.
Oh, yeah, and absolutely, because they're some of the oldest vineyards we have in this country, especially in
Yeah.
Sonoma. Like they come, a lot of these vineyards, remnants from the 1800s, like
Yeah.
late 1800s. So, yeah, the hard thing though is it should be, and usually is, but sometimes it's not. And that's the part where you lose consumers' trust when sometimes it's not.
Well, I have one for us to talk about, and that is
Okay.
estate bottled. Estate bottled does mean estate, what you were referring to earlier
Right.
as the facility that is located on a property or close to a property that grows the grapes and also makes the wine. So if you see estate bottled on a label, that's what that means. Now, over time, this has become condensed by producers, and now consumers recognize just estate or estate grown to mean the exact same thing, when in fact estate bottled is the only term that is strictly defined. However, if you see the word estate, it does mean most likely that the producer is the grower of the grapes as well.
Yeah, and I love the fact that key terms like grown and produced by and estate bottle, they're all in like tiny print on the back label. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where you find it. It's like, oh, wait a minute. So like it's in 6 point type and yeah.
It's actually an important point, Keith, is
Yeah.
that we're talking about label reading. We're not just talking about the front label. The back, you have to
Yes.
turn and look at the back label as well.
Oh yeah. Like that term cellared and bottled by. Like it
Hmm.
means absolutely
Oh,
nothing.
right.
You know, absolutely nothing at all.
Vented and bottled
Vented and
by is
bottled by.
another
Oh
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they just waved at the trucks as they drove by. It's funny because you'll see like a really expensive bottle of Napa Cab. You turn over, it says cellared and like, why?
Mm,
What legal reason did they have to put that there and say that like we didn't really make this wine?
interesting.
Well, I'm gonna bring in one. It's something that I thought we had killed this beast years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
I thought I killed this with the boomers, but it's been rearing
It's
up
back.
again. It's contained sulfites. Okay, people. Okay, everyone, come here. Come here. Come here. Listen to me. Sulfites don't give you headaches. Sulfites, you're not allergic to them. Okay, have you ever eaten a fig Newton? Did you die when you ate that fig Newton? No, you know why I know that? Because you're listening to me right now. You're not dead, therefore you're not allergic to sulfites. They don't give you headaches. No.
Okay, Keith, but why does every single label in the US warn consumers
Right.
that this bottle of wine contains sulfites?
Because, not surprisingly, bad law and bad externalities created a situation decades and decades ago where everyone else got exempted from using the term contained sulfites except for the wine trade because we were so small and we did not have anybody in Congress or anybody in DC to protect us. So the whole idea of sulfites is that they're naturally occurring. They're a antioxidant. Okay, remember how all these things you hear about, oh, antioxidant this, antioxidant that, how beneficial they are? This is an OG antioxidant. It actually preserves the wine. It's there naturally. It's a part of fermentation. And in fact, any kind of processed fruit, whether it's a fig Newton or, what you get in your trail mix, it has so much in them. Usually around 100 times more, like a huge amount more than you have in wine. And I do not know why it's come back. Do you have any
I
idea?
I
Okay.
have a feeling
Yeah.
because you've mentioned that people are starting in especially introductory classes to ask
Yes.
again about sulfites. And most recently, I had a young couple ask, should we put on our wedding registry a sulfite remover?
Oh, God.
And that's when I went, oh, this old thing is
Oh.
back, that there's a product that can remove sulfites from your wine. And this has
Oh,
been
God.
knocking about
Oh,
forever.
this is okay. This is not just new. This is not even just a decade or decades old. I remember, okay, so there's somebody who has an entire warehouse full of these
There
products.
must be.
This has been a scam for so long. I
Yeah.
remember I was
Oh,
at a winery. I was working, I happened to be in the tasting room, because the winery is right behind the tasting room at this place. And I was walking out, I was just like chatting a couple people up, and the salesman came in and was selling the sulfite remover stuff in a little bottle. And like, this is 30 years ago.
we had a student, I would say maybe 8 years ago,
Oh,
who was investing. He was in the industry and he was investing in one of these products. It was like a GoFundMe
go.
that he had contributed
Yeah.
quite significantly to, and
Yeah.
really thought this was going to like put
Yeah.
him into the next stratosphere. So sad.
And this was the thing is, okay, just be honest. So,
Yeah.
folks, actually, when you're my student, if you're in my classroom, I will offer, like, when you are going to make a real big mistake like this, I will say, hey, are you sure you want to come talk to me about this? Because I want people to not do these things. But he was arrogant enough. He
Yeah.
thought he knew, and I was
Yeah.
desperately. It pains me when people
Yeah.
do this. I only want the best for my students. And he's one of those students who just wouldn't listen. Like, he listened in class, he trusted me there, but he thought he was a better businessman.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
folks, this is not a real problem, and any device is not a real fix.
Yeah.
But the point of this is be skeptical. Just recognize marketing is a big part of what you're seeing on the label.
Marketing is such a huge problem. You know what one of my tricks are? Let's go back to the back label.
Yeah.
Like, we all know when we're marketed to. We all see when a brand is trying to tell us they want us to do something or manipulate us. But what I do is I look at the back label, and there's always that jargon, like that little how they describe themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Is it overly flowery? Is it clearly they had the marketer write the copy? If they did, I don't buy that wine, because this
Yeah.
wine is BS. Like,
Yeah.
this wine is a marketing juggernaut. And if it sounds too slick, it is too slick.
Mhm.
And I just like, no, not that.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see old vine,
Yeah.
and if I turn it over, and it's talking about someone's grandma,
Uh-huh.
like, nope. Nope. But if it's just kind of like janky, and like obviously the winemaker was a little hungover and he wrote it
Yeah.
because he
This
had
is one
to.
instance a typo might be welcome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. Or if they don't have it at all, they're like,
Yeah.
this is it. I start trusting when I see, if they're not marketing to me
Mhm.
intensely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are a couple more things to talk about that are
Yeah.
relevant. What is dryness? How do you look for an absence of sweetness?
Ironically, some California red wines actually have more residual sugar than white wines do, but that's just because you can't taste it, whether it's the acidity or the tannins. Like, you're not going to notice it. It just gives structure to your wines. So, as a rule of thumb, though, the couple terms that you want to look for: trocken. This is a German term and an Austrian term. If it's just by itself, trocken means dry, bone dry. Also, brut, another great term, brut, which is the French term, especially on champagne or cremants, but then also the term dry. Like,
Yeah.
people use it. Again, there's no defined term on an American label, but if they're using it, they are leading you. They say, hey, this does not taste sweet at all. Trust us, especially on Rieslings.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and to be honest, sometimes, I love some of those with a little bit of residual. So I want them to tell me if there's a little bit of residual, because that balance is amazing.
Yeah. And I actually always look for alcohol content.
Smart.
So sometimes it's hard to find it. It can be in very, very tiny font. It can be at an angle. But it's worth looking for, because there's nothing, I think, that tells you just in a really shorthand, fast way whether
Yeah.
a wine is going to be good with food. So if I'm pairing food, I want something that is moderate alcohol range, something between 13 and 14%.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily tell you the style or if you're going to love it, but it is very helpful for food pairing.
And also, if I see something that says a red wine says like 12.5%,
Mhm.
I know that they're doing something interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
But also, if I'm looking at a white wine and if I see a really low percentage, like 8% alcohol,
Mhm.
I might think that that might have residual sugar too. Like that's another
That's
thing. So
yeah,
white wine is really low, like 8%,
yeah,
9%. That might have some residual sugar. It doesn't
that's
have to,
correct.
but it might.
Yep.
And then yeah, red wine 12.5%. That's like okay, that's gonna be cool and weird and crunchy. I'm gonna love
Yeah,
that for
yeah,
especially for
absolutely.
food.
And I know you have one more, Keith.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna replace what I was gonna talk about with something we started.
Oh, sure.
Red blends. Yeah,
Uh,
Americans think they don't like red blends.
right.
And here's the funny thing is that's what cuvee means. And everyone like so if you ask it like, oh, would you like a cuvee? Like absolutely, but a red blend, oh no. And it's weird. Like so when we say Bordeaux, when we say a Rhone wine, a Rhone style, these are blends. Most wines are blends. And in fact, the dirty secret is in America we make everything's a blend too. Because like one grape doesn't always it's not perfect. It's not going to that year, that vintage, that winery, it's not gonna have the right acid tannin body balance that you want. You're gonna blend something else in there. And so that is always wine making is the art of the blend. It always has been and always will be. But yeah, do you actually know why we don't
Oh,
like
well,
why
this is
Americans hate
interesting.
blends?
So it's typically folks from California have this major bias.
They
I have to
do.
say
Yeah.
that they'll only drink single varietal and they think that blends are bad. And I came across an old entry about blending grapes, something called blending grapes that were a big part of the California grower industry
Okay.
in the 40s and 50s.
Okay.
These
Yeah.
were colloquially called blending grapes. And that long shadow
Yeah.
has cast until today where people think that blends are bad.
I
I don't know that's just my supposition.
the history is always with us. How
Yes,
did we come
yeah.
to think that, especially from California? And you're right about that. People on the East Coast don't really have this bias, but everyone in California does. Yeah.
All right, Keith, we're giving folks a supersize episode
Oh
today
yeah, of
because
course.
we still have two more segments. I think it's important. Let's talk about when you go shopping, how do you apply these label rules? What would be your best bit of advice for shopping?
All right. I've used this forever, and it's
Yeah.
consistently the best way. If you don't know something, this is how you start. You pick your price. Like say you want $20 and pick your grape, Cabernet Sauvignon. So I want to spend $20 on a Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay. Now, the trick is you want to buy it from the smallest place possible. And you think about it like a bullseye.
Hmm.
And so, do I want to buy it from, just say, California, AV8? Maybe not. Maybe. I'm going to look for something smaller, say like Sonoma. Now, is a $20 bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon from Sonoma going to be better than one from California? Most likely.
Mm.
Now, if I look at Sonoma, oh, what if I can find something in a smaller region in Sonoma,
Mm.
Russian River Valley? Will that Cabernet from Russian River Valley be better than the one just labeled Sonoma? Most likely
Hmm.
again. Though we can take that even further. Like, what if I find for $20 a single vineyard within Russian River Valley? Okay, it's still $20. That's going to be the best buy by
Hmm.
far.
Hmm.
That's the wine I'm going to buy. If I don't know anything else about the wine, I'm going to go for small.
And that absolutely applies when you're talking about European wine regions that use the appellation system as well. So if you're looking at French wines, those appellations are nestled smaller inside larger, and the same rule applies. Look for the smallest designation you can, and you're going to get the wine that has the most character, the most sense of place.
And I do have a reason why I always do it.
Yeah.
It's because as a winemaker, I know that wines from these smaller areas cost way more. So
Mm.
I know that winemaker, either they have their own vineyard,
Hmm.
obviously if there's a state bottle it is, and they're spending way more money for those grapes than someone like if they're just say California or Sonoma on those.
Mm.
Yeah, and we were talking thousands of dollars more a ton. So I know they're spending more money on those grapes, and so I can make a logical assumption that that's going to be a better wine.
Oh, interesting.
So like they're taking less profit off that wine.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so I know it's going to be at least a better deal.
Okay.
So yeah,
All
yeah.
right. You have another tip too.
This is actually not for buying locally, not for buying US, but actually for buying overseas. We all know somebody who's really good at their job, right? There's the best pizza shop. There's your best Chinese restaurant. Your favorite plumber. I don't know if you have a favorite plumber. I run a company, so I have a favorite plumber. I also have my favorite importers. They're great at their job. Their whole job, their entire company. They build their whole company's reputation on the fact that they can pick great wines from throughout Europe, throughout the world, and bring them to the United States. And you, over time, learn which ones are really awesome. Like, for instance, like Rosenthal, and I don't remember his first name. I bet.
Neil.
Oh, that's right, Neil Rosenthal. Remarkable, remarkable, elegant, beautiful. I used to find a Burgundy from Rosenthal. I'm buying it. Now, there's also Kermit Lynch as well. That's another great. I love them. I'm looking for like a Northern Rhone for under $30, and I'm looking through them. Maybe I don't know some of these producers. I turn it over. I'm like, oh, I've never seen this one. It's Kermit Lynch. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go into my shopping bag. Oh yeah, I'm buying that one. Oh yeah. Absolutely. So that's how
I
that's
think that's
another,
great. Yeah.
yeah, another
I,
trick of the
I do
trade.
that too.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I know you do.
All right, folks. So we are going to move into our lightning round segment. And
Oh,
so I am going to throw to Keith just quickly some label
all
terms
right.
and get your fast reaction to them. So
All right.
first up, here we go. The first one is IGT wines in Italy.
It's been great since the 90s. It used to be what Super Tuscans were until they got their own classification. IGT is just an Italian way of saying it's good wine, but it doesn't make any sense in any region.
Yeah.
So no, it's great. No,
Very
it's
cool.
good. Yeah.
Vin de France.
Oh, used to be trash.
Huh.
Now it's actually hipster cool shit.
Yeah.
Like, it is starting to become interesting outside of the whole classification system. Yeah, and they're doing something weird and cool.
All right. And finally, organic or sustainable?
Neither.
Mm.
Okay, because back to wine law. Organic law in the United States is a trashy mess. It's a hot mess. Doesn't make sense. It actually has all to do with sulfites and nothing else, really. It's just trash. All right, what I like, biodynamic.
Mm.
The term biodynamic has real meaning. It's basically if you build a science-forward religion for agriculture and specifically winemaking, that's what it is.
Oh.
It is an interesting. I can't get into all of it. Every single biodynamic winemaker is a witch.
Okay. We're doing an episode on this.
Yes,
I
we should.
I love it. Let's stop right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. All right, Keith. Thank you so much.
And as always, if you're still listening, please, by all means, earn your sommelier certification. It's one of the greatest things you can do to forward your wine education and your wine love. Wineschool.us, the National Wine School, the great place. They do it online at universities and at your finest wine schools in America.
Including where you will find us teaching full-time the Wine School of Philadelphia. If you happen to be in the area, please stop in for a class.
And I am just as manic or more so in class. I drink more coffee than wine, surprisingly.
True story.
Oh.
Folks, thank you so much for listening. As always, rate, review, and subscribe if you've liked this. Go ahead and leave us a note in the comments if you have some ideas for upcoming episodes. Cheers.
Cheers, folks.